A lot of breaking news. Welcome to Hannity. At this hour, Hurricane Michael is wreaking havoc over the Florida Panhandle, Georgia, and Alabama. This is now the strongest storm to hit the mainland U.S. since 1969. Now, coming up, we're going to have full hurricane coverage. But first, with just 27 days to go until the all-important midterm elections, the most important in our lifetime, we're going to break down exactly what is at stake tonight. Now, in the wake of Judge Kavanaugh's historic confirmation, while the far-left mob, and it is a mob in many cases, they're more petulant than ever. And tonight, they're being spurred on by some very despicable comments. Eric Holder, Hillary Clinton, Cory Booker, and, of course, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. In moments, we're going to show you how Democrats are literally trying to bludgeon, bully, and smear their way to victory in November. Plus, we have a very important warning from Senator Rand Paul. We should all heed this warning. We're going to tell you how the fragile word police over at fake news CNN are stopping anyone from using the word mob to describe angry mobs of protesters confronting Republicans all over the country. And we'll also roll out 10 more House races. This will decide in 27 days the balance of power in Washington. You have the power to shock the world again in 27 short days. America tonight needs you. All right, sit tight, buckle up. It's time for our breaking news opening monologue. All right, just moments ago, President Trump wrapped up a rally in Erie, Pennsylvania, where he had this to say about the impending midterm elections and so much more. Let's take a look.
You now have a champion fighting for you in the White House. But I need your help this election day, November 6th, to stop the radical Democrat mob from trying to take it away. They're going to try and take it away. They're going to try and take it away. I need you to show up at the polls to continue this incredible movement like the country has never seen before. Like probably very few countries, frankly, have ever seen before. The only reason to vote Democrat is if you are tired of winning. Then you should vote Democrat.
All right, tonight, the modern Democratic Party, the left wing in this country, is in a very sad and frankly alarming state. Night after night, right here on this program, we have documented their hard left turn. And with very few exceptions, the party is now devoid of any moderation, any moderates, no diversity of thought, no ideological differences. Everybody else that thinks differently, they're vilified. They offer no solutions to help the forgotten men and women in this country and solve our problems. Now, they call those who disagree with them evil. They have ginned up hatred and fear all across the country. And now many top Democratic leaders, they're going further, urging supporters to take vengeance against those that dare to disagree with them. This includes the former Attorney General, Eric Holder. Watch this.
Michelle Obama, I love her, you know. She and my wife, like, really tight, which always scares me and Barack. But Michelle always says that, you know, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them. That's what this new Democratic Party is about.
We kick them. Really? This is the top cop under Barack Obama, from hope and change to kick him on the ground? Now, of course, Holder is not alone. That kind of despicable, disgusting rhetoric has been echoed by so many top Democrats. Watch for yourself.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about. That's why I believe if we are fortunate enough to win back the House and or the Senate, that's when civility can start again.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Please don't just come here today and then go home. Go to the Hill today. Get up and please get up in the face of some Congress people.
You know, with rhetoric like that, Is it any surprise that Republicans across the country have been literally harassed by angry mobs, left-wing activists? Just a few days ago, we witnessed members of Congress getting shouted down on Capitol Hill, harassed in elevators, stalked in airports, run out of restaurants, and even one instance where a Republican congressman was assaulted inside his own office after a horde of protesters kicked in his door. In Portland, Oregon, far-left activists blocking traffic, assaulting commuters. Meanwhile, you have Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi, Homeland Security Secretary Nielsen, Senator Ted Cruz, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, all recent targets of the far-left mob. But over at fake news CNN, their word police, well, they've taken over. Believe it or not, some of their hosts are actually shaming guests for using the proper term, which is mob. Would they want their liberal friends run out of restaurants like Sarah Sanders, Pam Bondi, Secretary Nielsen? Watch this.
When you see people like Ted Cruz getting chased out of restaurants by a mob.
You're not going to use the mob word here.
It's totally a mob. It is without a doubt.
Mass.
There's no other word for it.
Stop.
It's a go on, put up the video. Stop. That is mob behavior.
Everybody stop. Matt, we already did that. We already said they weren't mobs. No, it's not mob behavior. It's people who are upset and they're angry with the way the country is going and the policies that these people. Will you let me finish, Matt, please, before you jump in? Okay.
They're all angry.
While the left-wing media, fake news, CNN, they're asking you not to believe your lying eyes. You, the American people, of course, you know better. Your head is not buried in the ground like theirs, and you know a mob when you see one.
We believe survivors. Excuse me. Bingo is way harder than you do. We believe survivors. We believe survivors. God bless you. We believe survivors.
God bless you.
Excuse me. Let my wife through.
Kirsten Nielsen is in a Mexican restaurant of all places. The gold. Shame on you.
Shame! Shame! Shame!
Why are you separating families?
Why did you leave my husband alone?
I'm not trying to disrespect you, but why is he separating families?
He's not.
I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, you little white little.
Really?
Yeah. You're a little whitey, aren't you? The First Amendment. Get the bro.
That's a mob. Now, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who called on the mob to harass conservatives at gas stations and grocery stores, etc., she's actually now audaciously blaming President Trump, of course. Watch this.
We cannot allow Donald Trump and anybody else to take protest away from us and to deem it to be violent and to try and make us look like a mob. They're trying to change the description of protest and call it a mob. Well, this president is the poster boy for what a mob protester looks like. He is, a matter of fact, he's the one who has been violent in his speech. This country is past due for the kind of protest that we have seen women do in the last few days.
Got to think that Congresswoman Maxine Waters could be a committee chairman if Democrats take back the House in 27 days. That brand of vitriol, that could have real consequences. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, he issued this urgent warning earlier. Take a look.
When Democrats say get up in their face, they need to realize that there are a lot of unstable people out there. There are people with anger issues. There are people that are prone to violence. They might even live next door to you. You don't know where these people are. But what we shouldn't do is incite people to violence. The problem is rational people might back down. But what's going to happen when the guy comes with a gun to a rally or comes with a knife to a rally? There is going to be an assassination if this doesn't ratchet down. And I think the other side needs to really calm the rhetoric down.
Remember, Senator Paul was attacked in his home. He was a senator whose private information was doxed by far-left activists. Senator Paul's wife, Kelly, now sleeping with a loaded gun by her bed. And sadly, many Republicans private contact information, that is being made publicly available by extreme left-wing radicals. In fact, one former Democratic intern was recently arrested for publicly outing the personal information of at least one Republican member of Congress. So with 27 days to go until this, the most important midterm election in our lifetime, you, the American people, have a real choice tonight. Will you reward the tactics of the left-wing mob? Will you support candidates who actually abandon due process, the Constitution, the presumption of innocence? Do you want a country where political differences are demonized day and night, 24/7? Do you want Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Chucky Schumer, coming after your crumbs and raising your taxes, opening the border, blocking constitutional justices on the Supreme Court? Now, we have good news tonight. Republican candidates, they are picking up huge momentum. According to a brand new poll from Scott Rasmussen reports, remember, the most accurate poll in the 2016 election, the congressional ballot is now dead even. Another poll showing 62% of Republicans are more likely to vote because of the Kavanaugh controversy and the way the Democrats act compared to just 54% of Democrats. Now, despite this momentum, Republicans, they are fighting an uphill battle. Make no mistake about it. In the past 100 years, the party that controls the White House has picked up seats in the House only 3 times. But with that said, you still have the power to shock the world again in just 27 days. Look at your screen. If you are in one of these congressional districts, you are going to decide the balance of power in Washington, D.C. Every night this week, we're going to focus on 10 of these critical House races. Tonight, we start in Colorado's 3rd District, where Republican incumbent Scott Tipton currently has an edge over Democratic challenger Diane Bush. In Colorado's 6th District, Republican incumbent Mike Kaufman is in the fight of his life against Democrat Jason Crow. This is a district that Hillary Clinton won by 9 points. Mike Kaufman needs your help tonight. Let's head to New Mexico, the 2nd District there, currently a toss-up. Both candidates fighting for an open seat in a district that President Trump carried by more than 10 points. And meanwhile, there are many toss-up seats in the great state of Texas. Look at Texas, the 7th District. That encompasses part of Houston. Republican incumbent John Culberson is in a very tight race versus Democrat Lizzie Fletcher. In Texas, the 23rd District, Republican Will Hurd is currently favored in a race against Democrat Gina Ortiz-Jones. In Texas' 31 District, another incumbent, Republican John Carter, is also favored against the Democrat M.J. Hager. And meanwhile, the 32nd District in suburban Dallas, well, that's a toss-up tonight between Republican incumbent Pete Sessions and Democratic lawyer Colin Allred. This is a very important seat. Another important race that we're following is in Utah's 4th Congressional District, where Republican rising star Mia Love has an edge over Democrat Ben McAdams. We need Mia Love back in the House. In the state of Washington, Republican House Conference Chair Kathy McMorris Rogers has a slight edge over the Democrat Lisa Brown, an important race. In Washington 8, Republican Dino Rossi is facing incumbent Kim Schreier in a race gaining a lot of national attention. Tonight, that race is a dead heat. Now, also tonight, it's very important to focus on the all-important Senate. All the states highlighted on your screen are up for grabs tonight. As we speak, popular Florida Governor Rick Scott, who's done an amazing job. Of course, he's focusing on the current hurricane that is pounding the Gulf Coast of his state and the Panhandle. But his senatorial race against incumbent Democrat Bill Nelson is extremely tight in Florida. It's important to remember Senator Nelson was a resounding no vote on Kavanaugh. And by the way, like most of these senators on the Democratic side, beholden to Chuck Schumer, the Democratic Party, and of course, not the people of Florida. If you like due process in Florida, if you believe in Florida in the presumption of innocence and our great Constitution, it's time to send liberal Bill Nelson packing. And don't forget Ron DeSantis, who's running for governor, to keep the progress that Rick Scott has started there. Other red state Democratic senators are facing serious challenges from Republicans. These are all winnable races. North Dakota, Democratic Senator Chucky Schumer sycophant Heidi Heitkamp is way down in the polls against Republican Kevin Cramer. In Montana, Democrat John Tester in a very tight race with Republican challenger Matt Rosendale. In Missouri, Democrat Claire McCaskill. She's losing ground. She is behind in her race against Josh Hawley. In Arizona, she is an American hero. Republican Martha McSally in a tight race, now slightly up in the latest polls for that open seat. In Nevada, Republican Senator Dean Heller. This is such an important race. A small lead in some recent polls. That is tight in Nevada. And then, of course, there's Indiana. Democrat Chuck Schumer lover Joe Donnelly. He's being challenged by Republican Michael Braun. That's an important race. Now, tomorrow, we're going to review more important races. We're going to go from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. Now, the left in this country will bank on emotions and rage and anger. Conservatives have got to be informed, energized, and vote based on the principles of our Constitution that make this country great. Ronald Reagan rightfully warned, freedom is always just one generation away from extinction. In 27 days, we, the people, have a duty to defend that freedom for generations to come. Here's a question. Are we as a country better off than we were just 2 short years ago? Is our economy better off? We now have record low unemployment and now an exploding economy because of the huge tax cuts, the crumbs that Democrats want back. Are we more safe? Are we more secure as a country than we were 2 years ago? The answer to that is yes, we are dramatically safer. Do you want this success to continue? Or do you want endless, frivolous, nonstop, never-ending, second-by-second investigations and possible impeachment proceedings? Do you want higher taxes or more money in your pocket? Do you want your government to eliminate ICE and have open borders? Do you want the disaster of Obamacare to continue? Do you prefer constitutional conservative justices? This is what is at stake for this country, and your vote matters. All right, joining us now to discuss this and much more, the author of the best-selling book, The Briefing, Politics, the Press, and the President, former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. Also the author, just out this week, a brand new book, Why We Fight, Defeating America's Enemies with No Apologies, Fox News national security strategist, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. So we have Hillary saying we cannot be civil, doesn't want to be civil, and then we have Eric Holder, Sean Spicer saying, kick them when they're on the ground. Wow. Is that what the Democratic Party is now reduced to?
Well, look, Sean, to your point, it was somebody from the left that shot up a congressional baseball game last year, injuring Steve Scalise. It was a mob from the left that attacked Ted Cruz and his wife having dinner. It was a mob from the left that went after Kristen Nielsen at her home. It was a mob from the left that attacked Andy Harris at his congressional office, barricading him in and trying to break down doors. If this is what they think is civil, then we've got a big, big problem going on right now. It is the Maxine Waters and the Eric Holders that are talking about fight and putting things in people's faces that is inciting this violence. So I would agree with Senator Rand Paul on this, that we need to take this rhetoric down quick, because the left is listening to those words that are inciting them to violence and action in a very, very violent way, and that needs to stop.
But Dr. Gorka, they're literally saying, get in their faces. They're saying, follow people into grocery stores, follow them at the gas station, get in their grill. By the way, Obama himself has also said it in years past. We watch and we witness, Secretary Sanders, Press Secretary Sanders, Secretary Nielsen, Pam Bondi, women being run out of restaurants, Ted Cruz and his wife run out of a restaurant. At what point did they not see somebody's going to get hurt or worse here? Rand Paul is correct.
Not only is he correct, my former colleague Sean is absolutely correct. There's one side in the political debate, Sean, that has normalized violence, and it isn't the GOP, it isn't the conservatives, it's the left, from Antifa to that baseball field in Virginia to the riots on the streets. Look at the reality. This is why I wrote Why We Fight. It's a wake-up call, because this isn't just about Sarah Huckabee Sanders. This isn't about a senator from Texas. It's about all Americans who aren't rabid leftists, because this is what they will normalize. If they take control, this is your life forever. If you politically disagree with them, they will try to destroy you. That's what we saw with Justice Kavanaugh, and we cannot allow that culture of political assassination of character to be normalized in America, Sean.
Sean Spicer, this is a political bludgeoning. One ingredient is so noticeably absent from the left today. What are their plans to help the American people to be more prosperous and more secure? I don't hear anything, any agenda. The only thing I hear, what we're going to go back to the Obama era of what, 13 million more Americans on food stamps, 8 million more in poverty. Horrible. The only president never to reach 3% GDP growth in history. A guy that took on more debt than every president before him combined. Is that what they want to go back to? Dropping cargo planes of cash and other currencies on the tarmac for mullahs in Iran that chant death to America? Is that what this is about?
Well, I think it's even more than that. I mean, the reality is that when you look at the results of this president's delivering 3.7% economic growth through all sectors of our economy and various demographics, 4.2% economic growth, something that was unthinkable a couple of years back when the president took office. The trade deal that he just renegotiated with Mexico and Canada, our two largest trading partners to the north and south, all of the safety success that he's had, foreign policy, not having a missile fired from North Korea. I mean, the president's getting results, and that devoids them of an ability to find an opening to make an argument for what they would do, because frankly it's really hard to argue with the success and the results that we've been having. That makes them politically in a very difficult situation. So this is why I think inciting mobs and ratcheting up the rhetoric is the only way that they can go, because it's really hard to argue with the results that we're getting right now.
Hard? It's impossible. 8 years of failure, 2 years of a dramatic turnaround on every level, every measurable statistic. Dr. Gorka, we give you the last word.
It's a very simple question in 27 days to all Americans out there. Do you wish to stay safe? Do you wish to share in the prosperity that Donald Trump has managed to initiate in this country? Or do you want the mob to take over?
All right. Thank you both. Congrats on your new book out this week, Dr. Gorka. I've read a page cover to cover. An amazing book. Well done. Same with you, Sean Spicer. All right, when we come back, at this hour, Hurricane Michael continues to pound the southeast. A live report coming up. Tammy Bruce, Jason Chaffetz, Newt Gingrich, straight ahead. And this is a Fox News alert. Hurricane Michael is hammering the Florida Panhandle, currently now a Category 1 hurricane over the state of Georgia. Joining us now with the very latest. They're calling this a storm of a lifetime. Fox News chief meteorologist Rick Reichmuth tonight. Rick, this is a devastating direct hit. We don't even have the ability to now survey the damage at this point.
Yeah, the video that's coming out already of the damage is incredible, and I think we'll see a lot more tomorrow once some of the water recedes, especially right down here close to where it came on shore. Haven't been able to get in there. The water is still coming in. The storm surge hasn't been able to go down. Tomorrow we'll start to get a better sense of some of that damage, and what we're seeing already is incredible. 155 mile an hour sustained windstorm moving on shore. That's 2 miles an hour below Category 5, Sean. This is the third lowest pressure we've ever had anywhere in the U.S. of a hurricane making landfall, at least in recorded history. Center of the storm now way up here, moving in towards central Georgia, and it's still a hurricane. Winds at 85 miles an hour, getting very close here to Interstate 75 coming south of Macon. If you're thinking about going out on those roads, don't. Keep in mind that is still hurricane force winds well inland here and very heavy rain as well. Storm direction overnight is going to move through Georgia. By tomorrow, moving here across the Carolinas. And really important to note, we just had all of that rain from Hurricane Florence, record-breaking rain. That water's gone down, but the ground is really wet. Any kind of winds, and we're going to be seeing winds probably 50 miles an hour here throughout much of the day tomorrow, and that will knock a lot of trees over. Talking about a potential of about 500,000 people without power in the Carolinas from this storm as it moves on through. Eventually, by Friday, it's out of here, but it's going to bring a lot of rain for a lot of people. We've also been dealing with incredible heat across much of the eastern seaboard. Has not felt like fall at all. The same front that's moving through, and it's going to pull this storm up offshore eventually. When that comes through, temps really plummet. It's going to feel like fall rapidly on Friday. And take a look at this. Friday morning, temps into the 50s in Panhandle of Florida. Some people will be without power. Things will be wet. If you get temperatures down into the 50s at that time, Sean, that's going to be very, very cold for people there who are trying to recover from the storm.
All right, Rick Reichmuth, thank you. Storm of a lifetime. And by the way, for all of you, I know I've had my sources in the White House say they have pre-positioned food water, medicine, supplies, cots, blankets, baby formula. Help is on the way, and we pray for all of you tonight. We'll have updates throughout the hour. But first, once again, the left's rhetoric reaching a new low. You know, just look at what Obama's Attorney General, Eric Holder, pay attention, kick them when they're down, kick them. Take a look.
Michelle Obama, I love her, you know. She and my wife like really tight, which always scares me and Barack. But Michelle always says that, you know, when they go low, we go high. No. They go low, we kick them. That's what this new Democratic Party is about.
Here with Reaction, Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce, author of The Deep State, How an Army of Bureaucrats Protected Barack Obama and is Working to Destroy the Trump Agenda, a New York Times bestseller. Former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz. Tammy, imagine for a second any conservative, any Republican acting this way in restaurants against Democratic women, what the result, what people would be called, how the media would react to all of this. Add to that, you know, kick them, we can't be civil, get in their faces, follow them into grocery stores and at gas stations. Rand Paul, something horrible is going to happen here.
Yeah.
And these so-called leaders are literally adding fuel to the fire. And it is a mob they're inciting.
Yeah, look, this comes on the heels, of course, of a number of things that have already occurred, like these poison letters, or at least letters with powder sent to people. Yes, invading an elevator with Jeff Flake, the sending of beheading videos to a senator's wife. It's been across the board, of course, the attempted murder of 24 GOPers, an attempted stabbing of another GOP candidate. But consider this, Sean. These are the same people who, for the last several weeks, have been decrying and going crazy over the issue of violence against women, right? We've been listening to that through the Kavanaugh hearing, and yet now here they are, advocating for violence against some women, because not all conservatives are men, a lot of us are women, and so this kind of rhetoric, when Eric Holder says they're going to kick us when we're doing politics or whatever it is that they don't like, some of those people who are going to be attacked are going to be women. So how, and this, for the American people, regardless of what the media does, we see it for what it is. We must see the hypocrisy, but not even just a hypocrisy on policy. This is about using violence against people, and frankly, it's what a batterer does. They're effectively saying, if you do not comply, we will hurt you. And we won't hurt you if you do comply. But that's a lie also. The attempts to harm us will never end at this point.
You know, Congressman, you sent me a little text message the other day, and I thought a lot about it, thought it made a lot of sense. That is, in 27 days from now, if Nancy Pelosi, this would be the 4 weeks from tonight, we'll be talking about the results of the midterms. If the Democrats take over the House, or God forbid, the House and the Senate, you pointed out what it would look like. I'll throw the floor to you. Paint the picture so people fully understand this.
If the Democrats gain control, particularly in the House, Nancy Pelosi becomes the Speaker. We give the gavel back to her, and then her lieutenants. Literally, Maxine Waters becomes the chairman of financial services for the United States of America House of Representatives. Jerry Nadler takes over as it gets the gavel in the House Judiciary Committee. I've already been talking about doing impeachment. Elijah Cummings, somebody I served with, will be the chairman of the Oversight Committee and will just bombard the White House with investigations and drop the investigations that Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows and Gowdy and Ratcliffe have been doing and what Devin Nunes has been doing. All of that gets dropped. Adam Schiff becomes, he gets the gavel, he gets the direction in the Intel Committee. This is what you vote for, America. That's right. And so when you look at like Scott Tipton on the western slope of Colorado, that's important because if we don't win that seat back and Mike Kaufman there in the Denver area, then guess what? Nancy Pelosi gets to make those decisions.
But Congressman, there's no positive agenda. We have had 2 years, record low unemployment, 14 states, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, women in the workplace, Asian Americans, vets, youth unemployment. Look at 4.2% GDP growth. Really? Are we going to go back? Do people understand the real importance and the stakes here?
Under Obama, the Democrats at the local, state, and federal level lost 1,000 seats. Don't hand it back over to them because it drove us into the ground. America's smarter than that. Tammy.
Yeah, Americans want solutions. We want policies. We want legislation that improves our lives, removes government from our back. Only the Republicans are bringing that to us right now. All the Democrats have are threats.
A lot at stake in 27 days.
Yeah.
I hope people understand the severity of what's at stake. Thank you both. When we come back, Newt Gingrich, he reacts to fake news. CNN anchor scolding a guest for calling left-wing radicals who chase and harass Republicans a mob. In other words, they're normalizing this behavior. We'll get to that. And Devin Nunes, straight ahead. 3 weeks of just the abandonment of any due process and presumption of innocence. Then you've got Sarah Sanders, Pam Bondi, Secretary Nielsen, Senator McConnell, Cruz. They're being chased out of restaurants. Hillary Clinton says we cannot, as Democrats, be civil. And Eric Holder is saying when they go low, kick them, meaning political opposition. Will this work in 27 days? Is that their strategy?
Well, I mean, what you're seeing is the emergence in a very weird way of a brown shirt party. To use the term for the people who in Weimar Germany went out and literally dominated the streets by brute force. They can't win. They didn't win in the Senate. They didn't win in the presidency. In my judgment, they're not going to win on Election Day. And they're becoming more hysterical, more anti-democratic, more willing to destroy the system. Abraham Lincoln warned that there are people who oppose us so much that it is either their way or they destroy it. And I think that we're faced with that kind of opposition. So, I mean, let's have an open public debate. If you think that people like Eric Holder, Hillary Clinton, should be allowed to impose their will by brute violence, then you ought to vote Democrat. If you think that's profoundly wrong, then you ought to vote Republican.
We now have Rasmussen today. Republicans now lead Democrats by a pretty healthy margin in terms of enthusiasm. And what was just maybe 2 months ago a huge gap in terms of generic ballot, it's now dead even, according to Rasmussen. So there's been a dramatic shift here. So going forward the next 27 days, you're a great strategist, a great historian. What do Republican candidates, Senate and House, need to say and do to win?
Look, I think Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy has given us a perfect example of the kind of campaign we need to wage in the next few weeks. McCarthy has introduced a bill which basically says if you want to stop fentanyl from killing your children, if you want to stop car fentanyl, which is even worse, from killing your children, if you want to stop MS-13 from terrorizing your neighborhood, if you want to stop human trafficking, we have to control the southern border. Now, the other side says, the Democrats say, no, we need open borders, sanctuary cities, abolish ICE. Well, let's have a referendum. Everybody who thinks we don't have enough crime in America, we don't have enough drugs in America, we don't have enough violence in America, vote Democrat. Everybody who thinks that Kevin McCarthy's right and we need to control the border and get back to a point where our children and our neighborhoods are safe, vote Republican.
Are we better off as a country in terms of our security than we were 2 years ago? Is the economy, by every measure, better off? I think we know the answer. It's interesting. You were on my radio show today, and I mentioned in California, where Gavin Newsom, you would think, is up by 20 points, it's now almost within the margin of error. John Cox, a businessman, is running against him. This is now a sanctuary state, and he's offering health care to everybody. Everyone. That means legal, illegal, the highly taxed, the high level of taxation out in California. It puts it open. Basically, anybody gets sick in America, go out to California. They'll take care of you.
Look, I just want to share with the audience who knows how close you and I have been for all these years. You blew me away on the radio show today. I mean, I was standing there going, oh, my God, this is a whole new way of thinking about it. Because you're right. Basically, the way that the Democrats have set it up in California, if you're in Tennessee or New York or Texas and you got a serious disease, Gavin Newsom's sending you a signal. Come to California and let us pay for it. Every governor in the country ought to be campaigning for They ought to be campaigning for Newsom because they have a chance here to send every sick person in their state to California and let Newsom do it. Now, if I were a Californian, I would think that was insane. But you picked it up today. I had never thought about the domestic side of that, and you're exactly right.
Well, that's what they're saying. You don't even have to be a resident. 13.5% state income tax out in California right now. It's going to be higher. All right, Mr. Speaker, 27 days
under
to go.
Newsom, I think under Newsom it gets to 25. That's my prediction.
Okay.
25% income tax.
All right, 27 days to go. Mr. Speaker, we'll have you on a lot between now and then. Thank you for being with us. All right, huge drama as it relates to the deep state. Rod Rosenstein, he's refusing to testify under oath in front of lawmakers. And we'll get an update from Kristen Fisher. Also, Devin Nunes is going to give us the inside scoop as we continue on this breaking news night tonight on Hannity. We've learned tonight that Rod Rosenstein will not be meeting with lawmakers as was apparently scheduled tomorrow. Joining us now at the very latest, live from Washington, is our own Kristen Fisher. Kristen, the latest.
Yeah, a lot to dissect from this hearing today, Sean. Things really got heated when Republican Senator Ron Johnson asked the FBI Director Christopher Wray why his committee has not been allowed to see key documents related to the Russia probe. Documents like the application for the FISA warrant that was used to wiretap former Trump campaign aide Carter Page. The senator told him it was time to rip off the Band-Aid. Well, here's how the FBI Director responded to that.
I understand the attraction of the rip off the Band-Aid approach, but I also understand that in many cases we're talking about situations that involve foreign partner relationships, tradecraft, and all kinds of other things that we need to be very careful about protecting.
Now, the senator also pressed him on when his committee would get a copy of the McCabe memos detailing the former acting FBI director's meeting with the deputy AG, Rod Rosenstein, where he allegedly suggested secretly recording the president. When asked if he'd get the memo by his deadline, which is just 5 days from now, the FBI director said, I'll have to get back to you on that. Now, Rosenstein, as you said, Sean, he was actually expected to be on Capitol Hill tomorrow. He was set to meet with the House Judiciary Committee, but that meeting has been put on hold until the two sides can agree on terms. The negotiations are ongoing, but no idea tonight as to when that meeting will happen, Sean.
All right, Kristen Fisher in Washington. Mark Meadows saying tonight that Rod Rosenstein owes the American people an answer. Joining us now from the World AG Expo in California, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committees, Devin Nunes is with us. Rod Rosenstein, this is the guy that recommended the firing of Comey. This is the guy that appointed Mueller, signed the final FISA warrant application, the third renewal. And this is a guy that Lisa Page, Andrew McCabe, and James Baker, Congressman, all talked about wearing a wire against President Trump in the hopes of invoking the 25th Amendment. He owes us answers to that.
He owes us answers. He's not coming tomorrow, which I think should be very telling. The story is that he might possibly wanted to come and have a cup of coffee with Chairman Goodlatte. Well, that's not acceptable. He needs to come and testify under oath. If you look at the story tonight, Sean, that's breaking in the Washington Post, you have both McCabe and Rosenstein fighting over what happened at the time of when he wanted to wear a wire, whether or not he wanted to wear a wire, and who was responsible for what. So clearly what this is the investigators who have no one watching them, no one to investigate them, and they're running amok. Running amok so much that they won't even come and testify to Congress. It's pretty pathetic.
They're both arguing over who should have recused themselves. Frankly, both of them should have recused themselves now that we know what we know. The president said he'd declassify and send out the unredacted FISA applications, the bulk of which the information came from the phony dossier that Hillary paid for, and the FISA and the fraud on the FISA court. Where are those declassified documents that the president said he'd release? Where are the 302s between Christopher Steele and Bruce Orr?
Well, the same thing is true, Sean. The same people who are arguing tonight on the pages of the Washington Post whether or not which one should recuse themselves, right? So this was over a year ago when the special counsel was appointed. They're supposedly arguing in front of Mueller who should be recused. And like you said, they both should have been recused. Those same people, or at least the Deputy Attorney General, who will not come to Congress to testify under oath is the same person who is blocking the American people from being able to see this information that we in the Congress have been asking for now a couple months for the president to declassify. The president actually said, I want this immediately declassified without redactions, and then shortly after that, the Deputy Attorney General convenes a meeting to convince the president, well, we need to have the IG look at this. And that's where we stand right now with declassification.
We need this
this is a whole new escalation. If
it can't take 18 more months, Congressman.
I don't think we need an IG report, Sean. I think it's ridiculous, Sean.
I agree.
We need an IG to do anything.
I agree with you.
Okay, I don't have a problem with IG. I want this stuff declassified.
I agree wholeheartedly, and frankly, a real special counsel ought to be appointed. The FBI director saying today he won't say whether or not the president is being wiretapped today. Are you kidding me?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Some of that questioning goes a little different directions, but let's just go back to the main point here that we really need to know at the start of the special prosecutor, special counsel. When remember, people are losing sight of this. The chief investigators at the time had no evidence of Trump campaign colluding with Russians. And so why did we have a special counsel in the first place?
It looks like Lisa Page said they had nothing in 9 months. So they started the media leak strategy so they can create the atmosphere of something that never took place. It is outrageous. Chairman, you've been amazing. Thank you for being with us. All right, when we come back, Rush Limbaugh responds to Hillary Clinton's call for incivility. You don't want to miss that next. Earlier today, Rush Limbaugh analyzed the true meaning of Hillary Clinton calling for incivility towards Republicans. Take a look.
Hillary Clinton went out the other day in an interview with Christiane Amanpour and pretty much admitted everything I have been trying to warn people of about the American left and the Democrat Party. She went out there and in her best Maxine Waters impersonation was encouraging people to be uncivil. We're not in a battle of ideas anymore. We're not in an argument over ideas. They're not even looking at any of this as about ideas.
Bush is right. All right, now tomorrow night, an announcement. Project Veritas' James O'Keefe has undercover video. It will blow your mind. That's tomorrow, 9 Eastern, 26 days as of tomorrow to Election Day. Let not your heart be troubled. The news continues. Laura Ingraham takes it.